locks do close for car area here. This would flip pretty quickly into a different use. The city's been doing some analysis of the economic connections along the river. Most of the industry up here is really not barge connected. They sometimes use it, but don't always use it. It's really just the sand and gravel operations and the scrap metal works downstream here that are the key users of it right now. And the cement operation doesn't really use the barge connection either. It just happens to be an old industrial spot along the river. So finding out how this land can flip into other uses as it moves along is one of the city's challenges right now. And getting the trail systems connected so we can have this continuous trail system on both sides of the river with, now they're proposing knot bridges, they call them, connecting bicycle and pedestrian crossing to the existing bridge structures as its own bridge. It would create loops all throughout all these bridges here and with trails on both sides. And that combination of trail usage and redevelopment of the properties on each side gives them a spine of riverfront park usage that then feeds the economic value of the parcels adjacent to it. So you see that even light industrial users will find a campus more attractive when it's close to this kind of an amenity. You can go out and run over lunch, that kind of thing. So as they've been looking at it, the economic value from the conversion is greater than the economic value from the continued industrial use, but they're not really in a position to just buy them out. Complicating that, of course, is the idea that these operators up here are major campaign contributors to council members and other campaigns. And so they've got political friends as well that question any time that economic analysis comes in. Grain exchange building. They put their own parking lot. And the plan was that they were going to build a big profitable marina next to them on the river, but that didn't work out because that's not really convenient. As we mentioned earlier, this move to build the locks here finally culminated with this lock in 1963. The last one on the system of 29 locks and dams all the way down to Canoe, Illinois. After that, the river with the Ohio joining in gets to be big enough that they can float it on float big boats without the navigation channel that would be drenched out or locks to hold it back. What that essentially has done is to block off the river upstream from there into a series of pools. And so you notice the currents are pretty moderate through here. They're really sort of big lakes that drain a little bit. And what happens in these pools without the flushing through the sediment the same way is they'll fill up a little bit as you go along. And so the pools are tending to accumulate sediment, and that's an issue now throughout the whole lock and dam system. They have to keep dredging the bottom out because that's relatively still water, still catching the sediment coming out of the tributary streams, and it settles down here. It's increased over the years as the sediment has flown off the farm fields with drain tiling. It hits those smaller streams. This always comes into a certain conflict and challenge with the Park Service, where we don't necessarily want a lot of designer ego on the river in the park. You know, that it's we really want the bridges to recede more, but then you're in the balance of, well, if you're going to make it good, make it really good so it's a signature piece. It's always, I think, a conflict in our own offices as to whether that's a really cool looking bridge or that's too cool looking a bridge. The bridge got the river. The station is building a new facility opening already in January if they are on track. And they have developed a very innovative design that's making the system connections to the water and sewer in particular, but also electrical, really visible throughout the building and in the landscaping of the building. And they'll be using it as sort of a teaching building. Similar to some of the thinking of people like David Orr and Oberlin, where the building itself becomes, the campus itself becomes part of the teaching. And it's really quite a neat design of the building, and we'll be having a little beach there we can pull canoes up to if we have a small enough group like yours to bring down inside. One of the things they wanted to use was figuring out what to do for the energy monitor. They want to make that visible in the building itself. They've got a fountain on the inside, and I think the way they're rigging it up now is the less electricity they're using elsewhere in the building, the higher the fountain goes on the inside. Nice. So turn a few things off and make the fountain cool. Station there for those that like their Tonka toys. This is kind of fun to watch, but not necessarily fun to live across from. They did end up building the comparator. Building in there. It was quite an investment. It may not last too much longer though, the lot slower. whether they stay in operation on that investment and just ship it out by rail, or whether they move the whole operation somewhere where you can get on barges like Minnesota River, will be the question. The city's actually a little concerned that they don't have a good recycling place for metals if they don't have these here. So one of the things they're looking at is how do you place these services in the city.
But it's, yeah, I can't imagine people wanting to